Finally, the moment a couple of you have been waiting for.
It's all like bing bong, Jack.
Coming to you from an undisclosed location in Duval and St. Johns County. The show for Jag fans by Jag fans.
You can't have a newcomer come in and steal the show.
Here are your hosts, Franklin and Michael how you say it? DeZoba. Welcome to the Jaggernaut Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Jaggernaut Podcast. I am your host, Michael. As always, I got my brother Franklin with me. Frank, give a shout out to Duval.
Much condolences, Duval.
Yeah. All right, so on tonight's podcast, I want to touch on an article that came out from Jason Lockenfora about a source within the Jaguars organization that is not happy with the way Urban Meyer handles losing. And then we're going to go over and we're going to talk about what we thought about the game. So we'll probably spend most of the time on Jason Lockenfora's article because, well, the game was shit. So, all right. So I was talking to you earlier, Frank, and you said you had not read anything about that. So it's been picked up by probably ESPN, ABC News, or CBS News Sports. The NFL had a little thing on it. So apparently there's some coach inside in Urban Meyer's circle who is upset with the way Urban Meyer is handling himself after losing.
Before you get into that, right off the bat, my take on this is I don't like the coach who's ratting out right now. To me, it's like, who's already talking and running their mouth? What terrible human being has been hired by Urban Meyer at this point? And that's what I want to know. Who would even be saying things like this? That's the main thing I've got right now that comes to my mind when you tell me that.
Yeah, I don't know. I got suspicions he's probably an offensive coordinator from Seattle. It could also be our offensive line coach. I'm not sure, so I don't want to throw names out there. I don't know. I don't have any proof. And as always, it's an unnamed source. So, and in NFL circles, unnamed sources really have no whereabouts. They just hide. Personally, I don't have a problem with Urban Meyer getting pissed off at losing. He hates to lose. You know what? I wish I could sit down with Lockenforum or this mystery coach. We can hide his identity. We can disguise his voice, because I'll tell him, losing fucking sucks. It sucks, and we've been losing for so long. It's about time we had somebody get as upset as we get.
Yeah, well, it makes me wonder if it is a coach that has been here. I mean, how do you go to how are you in any organization and you have? I mean, which coach wouldn't have a problem with losing other than one that's used to it? So I look around, and like you said, the offensive line coach, I'm not pointing, I don't know the guy or what have you, but it seems, I don't know. This does not even seem to me to be, I also wonder about the media at this point. You could have gotten a towel boy and you could say sourcing Jaguars organization, just like, and it seems like the media loves to run with the same narrative of, somebody starts a narrative and it's just like, it's like juvenile middle school stuff where somebody starts a rumor about a kid, or everybody's picking on the kid or something. It just seems like this low hanging fruit stuff where and it's funny because as a fan, I want to make a joke with that loss, how long it's going to take before Urban has a heart attack or leaves the team, but now I want to defend Urban instead of making that joke, because exactly what you said, man, I want somebody to give a crap about losing for once. That's the whole thing. We're sick of it. We're tired of it. And why would you want to lose? I mean, I don't even understand the crux of that story. Why would you even run a story like that? It doesn't even make any sense.
Well, they were upset, apparently. My gist from the story is they were upset with the way he reacted after losing preseason games. Well, get this. We just got our asses kicked by Houston. Everybody thinks Houston's bad. And Houston, guess what? They're probably bad. What does that say about us? That says we're worse. And here somebody goes saying, well, it's preseason. Damn it, you get paid to win. That's what you do in this league. If you're not winning and you're upset because you're getting called out in a meeting by your boss for not doing what you are getting paid to do, guess what, buddy? Welcome to the real damn world, because that's the way it happens. And I get tired of this. If you don't have the werevos to tell the dude not to treat you like that, and if he still does, leave, stop bitching, quit your job, leave, because you don't need to be where you are. I don't care if you're a towel boy. I don't care if you're Bobby Boucher, the water boy. I don't care. If you're in that organization and you can't take your boss telling you that you didn't do the right things, then I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know where you can go work.
Well, he fits what's going on everywhere. I mean, performance, results, reality, be damned. All that matters is how you feel. It's like, okay, nobody wants, people say the preseason doesn't matter. No. The preseason matters. The score doesn't matter. It wasn't that we lost. It wasn't that we were out. Our number was lower than the other team's number. It's we sucked. Our players sucked. The schemes sucked. They did whatever they were practicing didn't translate to the field, and it's exactly what you said. So it makes you wonder, was this story ready to go? Did he already talk to this person? It probably had to be before the Houston game, because evidently whatever he saw in the preseason game, what we all saw in the preseason games, manifested itself in the ones that actually count. So
that's exactly right.
Yep. It sounds like to me, whoever this person is, they're terrible at their job. And I hope they're not high up in the Jaguars organization, because if they are, there's our problem. We've just nailed it right there. And we probably got a lot of problems, but that's one of them right there. And that guy needs to go, because we need winners. We need people who actually want to succeed and don't want to feel happy after they sucked at their job, because, that's not good. And that's where the whole world is going. Even and the league, the NFL, that is supposed to be in your face, performance based. It's all about feelings and, just wokeness and stuff. This stuff has got to stop.
Yeah. See, so I actually honestly believe it's our offensive coordinator. And the reason why is because Urban came out after the Cleveland game and questioned our offense and what we were doing. We made a whole bunch of fun about this top secret super playbook. Remember that?
Yeah.
And then I don't think it's any shocker that 2 weeks later, here comes the story saying that some crybaby in the damn organization got yelled at for a shitty game plan in preseason, and now he's upset. Well, if it is our offensive coordinator, please quit. Just pack your shit, go home, just leave. Say, I'm done. I'm not taking this abuse, and then leave.
Well, that being
That's
said,
why. Go
I
ahead.
mean, I don't know how much more you want to spend on this story, but it seems to me we can parlay that right into what we saw in the actual game.
No, actually, so I'm on a different little take. I actually thought the plays called, I think we're okay. I've heard a lot of people rail and get upset because James Robinson only got 5 carries, right? The dude was basically the NFL, should have been probably the NFL Rookie of the Year. I mean, he's your 1,000-yard rusher. He had 8 touchdowns, 9 touchdowns last year. How do you only give him 5 carries? Here's how you only give the man 5 carries. First down, you run the ball. You get 9 yards. It should be 2nd and 1. But guess what? It's not. Because we had a holding penalty. So instead, we are now looking at 1st and 20. You are now behind the sticks. You have to basically sort of throw to make up that lost yardage. Dude, this happened almost every single drive. Every single drive. All of our drops, all of our penalties, all led to Trevor Lawrence having to do too much, trying to get us back in the game, and then he started to unwind. That's what we saw. Had we not held, had we kept a 6-yard average, had we stayed positive on just half, the game wouldn't have ended like it was. He wouldn't have threw three interceptions. We still may have lost, and I'm okay with that. But it wouldn't have been this landslide debacle. So, and it's not the play calling to me. It's the execution. And to me, every single unit had piss poor execution. Piss poor. I mean, we can go right on down the line. If you are a position coach with the Jags, Urban Meyer should be all up in your ass. Like, so much so he's on a first name basis with your colon. Like, I mean, he should be in there.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a number of things that, so first of all, I don't know that the play calling was great. I do kind of remember feeling okay about the play calling early on. And one of the things that sticks out at me is I'm sick and tired of seeing the horizontal practically behind the line of scrimmage passes to Shenault. I know we want to get Shenault involved. Give him a slant. Get him upfield. I mean, we're giving this. I'm sick of it, man. And this is the other thing. If you know, and I don't forget the article for a minute, but just what we saw in the preseason, that's what we saw. So this idea that they're uncorking some grand offense. Now, I saw a little bit more stuff downfield than normal. I will say that, to your point, that made me feel a little bit better, but I don't want to see that stuff anymore. If it works, that's great. I see other teams use it fine. So to that end, I don't know if we're calling in at the wrong times. I don't know if we're giving it away. I don't know what it is, but the corners are there. They're stopping.
Well, but I don't remember Shenault ever getting a negative play on that. I don't remember ever having.
I don't care about a negative play. But when you have to run, when you have to do all this boogaloo, and you got people, you know, you've got a lot of action taking place. You're throwing the ball probably 20 yards to start with. You're doing a lot of juking. You got 2 guys blocking, and you get 2 yards. That's a lot of expended energy for nothing. And my point on those plays can be very successful. The problem is they're instantly there. The defense is instantly on them. So to me, that says it's not as much about execution. It's about that was the wrong play call at the wrong time. You haven't softened the defense up. They don't feel worried enough about what's going to go on behind them to the point where they're taking that time to get up to the line of scrimmage to stop that. They're instantly there. So even if you've got blockers on them, those 2 blockers, those 4 guys are now in Shenault's way. What I'm saying is this. that play can be successful. I haven't seen us do it yet. Do you remember them having a successful play where it was one of these side, where they're throwing past the hash marks, like to the outside?
I mean, well, it depends on how you want to classify successful. I think the second one, not the first one, the second one went for 9 yards. I think our second one went for 9 yards. The first one went for 4 yards. To me, that's successful. That puts you in front of the sticks. That allows you to call a run and play next, which is exactly what I think we did. And guess what happened?
Now, here's
That's
the thing.
exactly what happened.
Yeah, and look, and here goes to the biggest problem. This just goes to the biggest problem we have. This is a poorly coached team. So we can defend Urban Meyer, his reputation, and maybe this is not his fault. I mean, the buck stops with him because he's the guy who hired everybody.
Yeah, it's his fault.
And
yep.
So but what I'm saying is that if you have if let's just imagine for a minute, this is a high coach who is whining to Jason La Canfora, that's a problem. And I don't expect that type of individual to be oozing success into the players and around him. And so what we saw, maybe it's indicative of Meyer, but it never seemed to be when he was in college. So it makes me wonder, like, what has happened? And as a typical Jag fan, you go, why does it not seem to matter? Any change we make, and it seems very similar. It's reminiscent of what we saw last year. I mean, I could argue what we saw against Houston was worse than most games last year. At least last year, I felt like they were a team that had a lot of holes of athleticism. It just didn't seem like a great roster in a lot of places. There were a couple places where I thought we were solid, but we couldn't but I thought they tried hard for the most part. There was a couple games where I felt like things got out of hand and maybe the effort wasn't quite great. I never felt like they gave up. Even that, I don't think they gave up, but I think in this game, they never seemed to know what was going on. Like, you just never felt like that was, and I hate to be a
Taven Bryant. Taven Bryant.
No,
he never knows what goes on.
But,
he's a cancer. He's a cancer. I'm telling you that he's leaked. He's killed the locker room. We need to cut him and almost everybody else. He's already killed the locker room.
I want to say that's a ridiculous opinion, but it's probably not.
No, I mean, it is. And I was
no, but it's indicative. Well, here's the deal, though. It's indicative of something. At a certain point, there's some certain things that jump out at me. Like you mentioned, you don't get why people are upset that James Robinson didn't get carries. Here's something for me. I'm upset by that. Here's why. There were not a lot of running back carries to be garnered in that game based on what was called to start with. The fact that Carlos Hyde was used as much as he was is a problem of philosophy to me. I don't understand that. James Robinson is one of the best weapons you have, and that's, to me, a philosophical problem. I don't know who calls, who gets what share of what. They're doing something wrong. And I never got frustrated with the fact that Minshew was taking reps from Trevor. That never bothered me. But now I'm wondering, with the Robinson-Hyde ratio, if there's a problem with somebody in that organization who doesn't seem to understand something about what they have and how to use it. Because, look, all I have is my opinion. I don't know anything more than what I see, so I can't say they're wrong, but I've seen Carlos Hyde before. And you know what? And in fairness, he played fine. He played great. It's just, I don't know why he was out there. I mean, it wasn't like we were using Robinson very often. And maybe I'm not, maybe it's all the pass plays and things, and he's doing all blocking, and maybe it makes all the sense in the world. Now that I talk myself into this corner, I go, well, it could be that Robinson's this great pass block because he does everything well. So maybe he's pass blocking a lot. And maybe, he's running out in the flat and Trevor's throwing interceptions down his head over his head instead. So maybe they go, well, even though we haven't run him a lot, he's still tired. Let's put Hyde in there. And maybe you go, well, that now the Hyde's in there, they're going to think we're not going to run. So let's try and run. That does kind of make sense. So maybe there's something to that. I don't know. You just question everything when you see what you saw, and everything just starts falling off the tracks. And the problem I've got is just the basics. Like if we can't get the basics right, and this stuff, and it bears. People have said this, but it's like, no more. You cannot give excuses on this, because the idea of, well, it's a new regime and it's a new this and we've got new, like, so was the Texans. Everything the Texans, like, I wanted to start this thing out joking around, like, everyone calm down, that's the Houston Texans, that's Deshaun Watson, that's I keep forgetting his name, the dang DeAndre Hopkins and JJ Watt. And it's like, no, that's none of those guys. They all are gone. They've had, when we had our 2017 moment, and we sucked in 2018. When everything came off the tracks, we sucked. And the Texans don't look to be a team that's going to suck. Now, I'm not going to say they're going to be great, because do they play Arizona? I can't remember who they play.
I don't know. They play somebody, and it looks
whoever
like
they're going to play will probably beat the brakes off of them, and it will make us look all the worse. And this does sort of bring the issues that we saw in the preseason. It effervesces to the top now. Everything we thought we were seeing was legit. There is no secret plan saving us. There is no, there's nothing there. The players we thought we had, even some of the things that bothers me is this: the things we thought we were good at, we're not as good at those either. So we're bad in the places we thought we were bad, and we're not as good in the places where we thought we might be better at. Like, and namely, I'm thinking the defensive line. I didn't see anything from the defensive line that jumped out at me.
So outside of one or two big runs, I thought the defensive line played okay. My biggest problem with the defensive line comes down to Caleb Chason. I think he had Tyrod Taylor twice. Twice he got juked out of his shoes like he's unathletic. I don't understand that. Hey, Caleb, when you get back there, it's okay to take just a millisecond to break down and make the tackle. It's okay. You don't have to leap around. You don't have to fall on the ground. It's okay. You'll be able to still make the play, but he did. So, I mean, there's 2 sacks. Both of those came, and Tyrod Taylor just rolled out and threw it deep. And guess what?
Yeah.
Wide ass open. Another
thing, our guys are there, and they did what they normally do, which is to be there and watch them catch the ball and go, hey, at least it was close. Like,
right.
Okay. Well, they're bringing a new meaning to 50-50 ball, because it's 100-0 ball, or 0-100 ball, or however you want to look at it. But
you got to call it yourself first. So we're 0.
Yeah, we haven't come down with one yet. Yeah. So, and it's and by that I don't mean intercepting. I mean just stopping them from catching ridiculously big plays. And so the places that they went after and to improve, I really didn't. I think people, like we talked about, they talked up Devon Hamilton. We went with I can't remember the new guy. That's there. The two new guys we've got on the defensive line. I hear they played okay, but
Tufele, Jay
no,
Atule, the draft
the
pick,
free agents.
Roy Robertson Harris.
Yeah, but I'm more so thinking about the other guy. I hear they played okay, but I mean, I just remember seeing, and I know statistically, like if you look back, like Mark Ingram had like a 3.3 yard average. So I mean, we're still going to go, oh, but it's like, no, you didn't. I remember I watched that game when they needed to run, they ran the ball, and it was early on, and we needed to stop, and you guys turned it into a 2nd and short. I remember those plays, and apparently they stopped. They really sort of shut down the running game when we knew they were going to run, because I do remember that they were like, but that's when the offense goes, when the Texans go, yeah, we got these guys. They suck. We can't beat them. They can't beat us. And so they changed, and we couldn't take advantage of it. And so, yeah, we stopped the run then. But, I mean, to me, I just don't know what to hang our hat on other than the fact that
There is nothing positive out of this game except for this is experience in Trevor Lawrence's bucket.
Well, and Lawrence's pocket presence was pretty good. The offensive line didn't play horrible, but as I understand it, it's kind of weird because, you know, if you go back to the experts would say that the offensive line played worse than the defensive line, but when I came out of that game, I felt like it was the opposite. I felt like the defensive line was worse than the offensive line. But regardless, it doesn't matter because we're splitting between which pile of steaming dog poo is the messiest, largest, and smelliest. And here's the problem. Again, you just don't know if you can't even be competitive against the Texans. I don't know what we're going to be able to do the rest of the way. And I get it that this is the first week. And I know I've watched NFL for years. I know in the first week you have just anomalous games that they're not indicative of how things work. But the problem is we can't say that for us because this is indicative of what Jacksonville football is. And that's the scary thing.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have it outside of experience for Trevor Lawrence. I don't have anything positive to, I thought our receivers sort of settled in a little bit and played okay. The drops killed us. The penalties killed us. Our defense, our secondary, what the hell? I mean, what the hell?
Well, here's the thing too. I was thinking about this, and our receivers don't seem to be very wide open. Our corners seem to not be able, and linebackers seem to not be able to adjust to rub routes. So that was a telling bit of contradiction or contrast to me, because what that told me is our offensive scheme isn't using rub routes. I mean, did we do rub routes? Because I didn't see. Now, I don't think we would, because they're using more of a zone defense against our guys. So that sort of, negates that point. But the fact that I wonder, is it something we practice? Because they seem
I wouldn't think so, because they had no fucking clue. And here's no idea.
This is supposedly, and we've talked about this. I mean, I'm not in depth on everything that the Jags are planning or doing, or what Joe Cullen loves, or what Urban's done with defenses, or what have you. But apparently, we're supposed to really be focusing in on good man coverage. You would think that you would then work on what offensive coordinators would do against man coverage. And so,
which is rub routes, right?
Yeah. So the fact that we're like, and I didn't know, I mean, I'm like, now it makes sense that people are saying this, that this is, we're going to put our people on an island a little bit. I like that defense. I do, because that makes sense for a kind of an aggressive scheme. All right. Well, how could you not have been prepared for that then? And that's the thing that's a little frustrating to me. And the problem, everything is sort of pointing one direction, and it's that coaching is bad.
Coaching. Yep.
Yeah, coaching is really bad. And
Yeah,
it's
so
weird because
I
I've been warmed up a little bit to Urban, and I
Well,
want to defend him, but it's like, what is going on?
I don't know if it is Urban. You know, Urban doesn't have an NFL track record to fall back on and say, okay, he's done this here, he's done that there. I will say all of the coordinators and assistants do have NFL track records. I thought that because of that experience, they would help. Now it seems like it's like Forrest Gump out there coaching, you know. I don't get it. I don't know. And I don't think this is going to turn around. I actually think we may end up, what are we, we're 4 games away from tying 3 other teams with 20 losses in a row. I think we're definitely going to hit that. And I think we're actually going to set the bar, because we love to set records going in the opposite direction. I mean, that's par for the course for our franchise. That's what we do. That's who we are. I'm not happy. And that's the problem is at this point, I'm not sure you can change it. Urban Meyer selected these people. He brought them in. He thought that they could help him build a winning team. And unfortunately, I don't think they can. And that also may mean that Urban Meyer just doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
Yeah, I'm afraid. And it's weird too, because I don't think the NFL is filled with these geniuses. I've mentioned that before. I think you got a bunch of egos there, and I don't think it's a bunch of, brainiacs with chalkboards and equations and stuff. I just don't see it that way. And so football's football, and I don't understand. And the coaches that I like are the coaches that are innovative, that'll break out of the box, because those are the guys that they set the pace for everybody else. I know people, it's a copycat league. How many times you heard that before? But you usually have to, what does that mean? That means that some coach goes, hey, why is everybody running 2 wide receivers? I'm going to run 3. And then everybody goes, hey, that 3 wide receiver stuff's working pretty good for them. And it's the basic stuff. It's kind of weird, but it's true. You'll see stuff where it's like people will just do different stuff, and it works because people aren't used to it. And then the league will copy it, and people will go, more teams are doing this, we need to adjust, and they'll adjust, and it isn't as successful. And then some other guy who's not copying everybody will do something different. And so I want somebody who's thinking outside the box. And
it's obvious. It's obvious by his hires. We were not going to get that. There isn't a coordinator on this staff, at least in a prominent position, that will do that.
But Bevel has had he doesn't have a bad reputation, though. I mean, if you look back,
Bevel's the same guy that basically called a slant in the Super Bowl when you got Marshawn Lynch, and here we are bitching about not using James Robinson. Is it possible? Yeah, hell yeah, it's possible. That's what I'm saying. Look, we were off on our fundamentals, right? Our offensive line acted like they didn't know what the hell a holding call was. Okay, well, you blew that. They didn't know how to line up. How do you not know how to line up?
That's the biggest thing. It's crazy. How did you not practice lining up? How did you get that wrong? You know what's crazy? I was listening to Loggeman today, and he reviewed the tape, and that touchdown pass to Sharp, he
Shouldn't
said
have been, yeah.
He
Yeah.
said the refs could have called it again, the formation. He said both wide receivers are on the line of scrimmage to that side.
Well, he
Single
also said
formation.
he also said that the wide receivers should be checking with the refs and getting the okay with the refs. I have seen Chark in the past look to the ref to get the nod that he's okay. I assume he did that on that play. I did not go back and watch it, but I assumed he did. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, and Jeff Loggeman's right. Maybe they could have called it on that play. But as we know, you can call holding on every single play. So really,
Well, I wasn't happy with the holding calls. I'll tell you
is like
that.
our fundamentals are off. We look like we don't know any of the basics. Honestly, I don't know what to do. Can we just take 2 L's for 2 weeks without even showing up? And maybe Herb can actually go out there and teach them how to line up. Like, send home all of the other coaches, because one of them's some snitch rat who is going to cry when you call him out for being a poor coach. So you send them all home, and then you go back and you take those 2 weeks and you work on fundamentals. This is how you tackle. This is where you line up. You check with the ref. Look at him. He'll nod. Let you know you're okay.
I don't know how it's interesting. It'd be interesting to see how, but it'd be nice to be a fly on the wall to see what is said and what is done for a team like this, a team of people who are being paid to be professionals, who are supposed to be professionals. And yet what you're saying is you have to go and treat them like school children and go, here's a jugs machine, wide receivers. Let's practice catching. Hey, linemen, here's the line of scrimmage. This is where the ball goes. You know, it's like
that's what it is. That's
crazy.
Exactly what we are. And we are that for the NFL.
And what frustrates me too is I think we need a little bit more New York media attitude out of our media. I cannot stand these people anymore.
Dude, I've been on them.
I know, but it's like
years.
But this has to stop. Somebody has to go, what the crap is going on here? This is an unprofessional product, and we can't sit here and pretend, because their job is to represent the fan. And this is uncalled for. I mean, what we're seeing, and you go, it's the first game. I get it. That's the problem. They've had a whole off season to prepare for the first game, and they're not lining up right. That's when you go, we want them to do basic things. I honestly, okay, will we be complaining if they lost? Yeah, that's the nature of the game. But we're past complaining now. Now we're like, we don't know if this will ever be fixed. We don't know if it's possible to get any sort of professional product that has a Jaguar logo and comes in teal, because we don't see it. We've got one of the winningest coaches. We've got a generational quarterback, and what we saw was abysmal, like to the point of, we don't expect what we saw out of the Packers. And that would be the only caveat. You go, oh, sometimes things happen. Okay, fine. Well, they better figure it out. And if they line up properly and break down and tackle and catch the football as, receive the football like receivers are supposed to do. Lawrence isn't immune to the criticism either. I don't know, throw the ball where the receivers are. But you kind of expect that. And that's the thing. It's like, I'm not going to complain about Lawrence. He's the rookie. It's everybody else. It's like the coaches that are complaining. Look, you're hired because you're a professional. Why are you complaining that your head coach, why are you complaining that your boss wants you to be a professional? And I don't care if it's the towel boy. And it could be, and you know what? Shame on La Canfora if it's not somebody legitimate. If this is just a complete, mountain out of a molehill, then shame on him, and nobody should even go to that guy and give him any information. But you never know, because it's an unnamed source.
Yeah.
I don't know. The whole thing is just.
But and to be honest with you, I don't see much improvement. We have no team on the schedule left that we can beat.
I know.
I think the Jets are going to smack us like yesterday. I mean,
I thought you guys were not crazy, but I thought, come on, man. I mean, all the positives trajectory that we had built up in regards to our perspective of hope. I thought, man, it's not unreasonable to see us getting close somewhere around a 50% mark of success of wins versus losses. But based on what we've seen, and it isn't just the first game, it's the preseason too. It's everything. The sample size that we have is irrelevant because everything that we've seen, apart from a little bit of okay play against backups for the Cowboys, has been atrociously bad. And what you just said is a reasonable position. We were 1-15. We could be worse. We legitimately look like a team based on what we've seen, not just the first game, but who we've played against and how we look playing against them. We legitimately look like a team that will go 0-17. That's not an unreasonable. I mean, people go, "Oh, what do you say to that?" You go, "Well, it doesn't normally happen." That's the best you've got, is to go.
Well, sir, we are not a normal franchise.
Yeah, it's hard to do that. Okay, yeah, I get it. We may stumble. We may run into a team that has COVID issues and fumbles the ball twice.
They can forfeit. If they can't fill the full roster because of COVID, they can forfeit. That's how we win.
That's literally our hope right now, based on what we're seeing.
Based on what we've seen, yeah.
I mean, because it's like you said, there's not a lot to hang your hat on. And here's the scary thing. Like, I like what I saw out of Lawrence, even though, put the 3 interceptions aside. I like what I saw out of Lawrence, but I'm scared now for him because I don't know what around him. Him going out there with the game plan, and people who are there to protect you don't know fundamentals. We're going to go up against Von Miller, Bradley Chubb.
Yeah. He
could be hurt because
then we got the guy from the Cardinals had 5 sacks in one game against the Titans. We don't have the Titans offensive line. Those guys at least know their fundamentals, and they got slaughtered. And yet we're gonna roll into that in week 3. I'm not sure Trevor Lawrence makes it out of the next 2 games.
That's what legitimately scares me. I mean, I'm thinking the one thing that we've got to look forward to, and it's sad because it's like we're fans of this team and we're already thinking, and look, I wasn't thinking we would do anything this year except for set a stage for next year. Like, I'm literally thinking we're now 3 years away instead of
if
1.
not more. Yeah, if not more. Again, I think I've already said it in one of our previous podcasts where I think we should have cleaned house. That means Warhol or whatever his name is. We should have got rid of him because the offensive line has always had issues. He's had Jawan Taylor for what? This is his 3rd year now, right? And he's been coaching this guy, and this guy still doesn't know his fundamentals. When you have an offensive line who, not one guy, but all of them are now off on their fundamentals, to me, that's position coaching. So I can tell you right now, he is not a good position coach. I don't give a shit what the NFL thinks of him. Here's what a Jags thinks of him. He sucks. That's what I think of him, because he cannot develop talent. whatever talent these guys have, he hasn't been able to develop it. They shouldn't have brought him back. They should have brought in somebody else. And I think, unfortunately, that seems to go everywhere else. We don't need to practice, rub routes. No. Even though we know it's a man killer, we run man. So we're not going to practice what teams are going to do to us. Yeah. My only problem and why I'm really pissed is because Jerry Jeudy got hurt. He's on my fantasy team and he would have been playing the Jags this week.
Yeah, you'd have been loving life there.
Yeah, I would have been
finally
happy.
Get a win.
Yeah, I mean, a guaranteed win.
Yeah, you had a bad football week.
Yeah, I know. Well, Miami sort of won. They weren't.
Oh, okay.
They weren't much better, but the Hurricanes won. I will say this though: if you have anybody playing the Jags, defense, second string tight end, third wide receiver, Grandma Jones, whoever you got on, put them in your lineup and run them out there. They will score you points.
And this is the same old Jags too. So what I would do is that I don't know much about what happened in the Broncos game, except for the fact that they won and Jerry Jeudy got hurt after having a really good outing before that.
Mm-hmm.
I know, I can't remember his name. The old Chargers running back, Melvin Gordon. I know he got a 70-yard run and he had like over 100 yards and a touchdown or what have you. And I think Javonte Williams is the backup. I don't think he had, and where I'm heading is I want to look at the Broncos and I want to know where are they bad at coming out of that game, because I can tell you one thing: if this looks like the same old Jags to me. I know who it is. I thought about it. Noah Fant. They're talking about Noah Fant because I don't think he was picked up in our fantasy league. I don't think he had a great game.
Ooh, I may bench Kelsey for Noah Fant, man.
You know what?
Because he's playing the Jags.
Well, you're not benching Kelsey, but I've got Jonnu Smith.
No,
and that seems a little bit more reasonable, because if my theory's correct, we are everybody's remedy. So if Noah Fant needs a boost, he will get it from us. If Javonte Williams got outclassed by Melvin Gordon, he will be the one that has the record-setting day against us. I mean,
maybe even 200 yards. I mean, we gave it up to Jonathan Taylor last year.
Yeah, I don't know where you go with this. I mean, I guess you can just run your mouth all night about how bad your team is. I guess the main thing is that it's just unfortunate that this team it's in constant rebuilding, and it looks like we'll never turn the corner. And the contrast to me is so great that the Texans, who had about the worst offseason any team in the history of humanity could have, they look like we look like the dysfunctional organization. Think about the off seasons. The off season we had was amazing compared to what they had. Arrow pointing up, theirs pointing down. Boom, it's flipped all the way. That is the biggest problem for me. It's this contrast. Why do other teams seem to be able to get out of their own way and turn things around? I don't even know who the guy is that's the head coach of that team. But Urban Meyer got absolutely spanked by that dude. His team came to play and they look like a football team.
You know what?
We look like that ESPN fake high school football team, Bishop Sycamore or whatever. We should change our name to Bishop Sycamore.
My wife says this. She says it's con. There has been different coaches, different position coaches. There have been different players come through here, all with the same result. She believes that Khan just doesn't want to win and doesn't care. And it's possible. He's still making bank. Still making bank even with the losing NFL team. I don't. Maybe he's the new. What is it? Marge Schott. Was she the woman that was in like St. Louis, and trying to get him to lose so that she can move him to LA or something and sell him?
Yeah, I don't
Um,
know about all that. I know she. I think.
Well, I
she-
never said he was going
I
to
don't know.
sell. Well, never said he was going to sell, but I'll tell you what, this damn sure doesn't make me want to vote to get a new stadium.
No, this is. Yeah.
So anyway, I'm good. Are you good? I don't want to continue to complain. That's all.
I don't even think the word "good" should be used on a Jaguar Talk podcast thing
Well,
ever.
okay. Well, are you okay with calling it then? I mean, I'm trying.
Are you are you jagged out? Are you? I don't-
Yeah. Are you jagged
yeah,
out?
I guess I don't know. Yeah, yeah, it's just yeah, I guess we kind of complained about it, and that's nothing else we can do. It's what we're used to doing. So
Yeah.
we'll just watch them
Woo!
lose again.
So
We'll be-
stay tuned next week. Hit me up on the comment section when you put on Grandma Jones and she scores you 2 TDs and has 100 yards. You heard it here first. Anybody and everybody on Denver Broncos, you start them. I don't care who you got. Just start them.
yeah, let's
And with that, I'm going to give you a Duval, and then I'm done. All right, I'm out. Cut it off.
till next time.
Bye, guys.